Hello everyone, it is John and his producer who's giving a bit of a rebellion at the moment. He's going, sod the Republican movement, Dad. We are loyal monarchists to the last dog. Yes, as you can tell, we are monarchists. Yes, indeed. As you may possibly tell by the honourable bit at the end of all my videos. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What is today's video about? Well, it's been a while since I've done a waffle about books. Yes. Now if I can find my my bit of notary here. So what have I been reading, or more precisely listening to? What are you doing, young man? Come on, sit still. Don't knock everything over. Yes, I've oh dear, I've still got my friend's dog Scout with me at the moment. So if there's any very large barking in that, it probably means that some poor person has had the foolishness to try and walk into my backyard and is promptly screaming because Scout's eating them. Yes, it's wonderful. I know that while we're here, or while she's here, I never get burgled. Yes. Anyway, what am I talking about? Absolute rot. Well, there we go. 1 minute and 20 odd seconds worth of waffle. See, you always get something. First book. Now, I like an author called Maxime J. Durand, also known as Void Herald. They have written a series of books. My favourite is Vanquir, the Dragon, which is hilarious with his man minion called Victor. Yes, I love that series. I've got 3 of the audios so far. I believe there is a 4th book, which I haven't got yet because silly Google has put things that have stuffed up my ability to buy books as easily as I used to. But anyway, the new audio that I have picked up is called Underland, and the narrator is Tim Campbell, and he has done an excellent job in bringing this book to life. And the main character in this series is called Valdemar Vernay, and just think of, I guess, the Underdark, like from, say, the D&D world. And you've got, because that's initially what I started to think when I was listening to the book, and I'm thinking, oh, this sounds like you're down in the depths, the drow, and because you do find these dark elves. But then as you go further along in the book, you're starting to get very Cthulhian style elements to it, and you get like these rats that have got hand-like appendages and that. And hang on, I'm going to have to wrestle somebody here. Come on, you settle down, please, while I'm having a chat. Excuse me, are you going to be in rebellion now? We've already survived 1 peasant rebellion. That wasn't very pleasant, was it? No. Yes. So, yes, very Cthulhian. So I'm not going to spoil it. You must have a listen to it, because at the very end, hang on, if I can, right, we'll try this again, because at the very end, Valdemar summons his familiar, and it is absolutely delightful. And if you start thinking about Cthulhu, there's a small hint. So I thoroughly recommend this one. Maxime Durand has once again produced an excellent novel, and the narrator Tim Campbell has brought this book to life, and I can only recommend it as highly as I can. I'm really impressed, so give it a go. Now, the other series, people know that I do love my whodunits, my mystery, my crime fighting, and I love anything that is quirky and different. And PJ Fitzsimmons, not to be confused with the bandana wearing loony that we have here in Australia. But this Fitzsimmons is a really, really good author, a sort of a blend of Ruth Rendell and P.G. Wodehouse. And I think I did talk about the very first one, the very first novel, which has now escaped me. But I've read the next two. And we have The Case of the Ghost of Christmas Morning, which is book 2. It is brilliant. And the last one, which I've just finished reading, which is The Tale of the Tenpenny Tontine. And I just really do enjoy it. And it's all about the main character, which is Auntie Beaujolais and his family and his very much Jeeves sort of personality. So if you've ever listened to or read any of the Wooster and Jeeves, or Jeeves and Wooster, I can't remember what it is, but any of the Wodehouse books, you will be familiar with that style, and it's very similar to that. And look, I just loved one of the quips that was in the second book, which was, he said, a history that would shame a Frenchman. And that comes in at so many levels that I just found that, it was just brilliant. So I'll leave that for people to try and understand the meaning that is behind that. And I'm quite sure it'll go over the heads of so many people. So the next series of books that I have only just recently got the audios for, I've been buying the books on and off with the intent to read them, but when they actually very nicely bundled all the books together into bundles of 3, is Derek Landy. And I may have mentioned this before, but the Skullduggery Pleasant novels. And these are obviously with the main character is obviously Valkyrie Kane, but Skullduggery Pleasant is in there. And look, this has got a kill count. That's almost, I guess, almost like a George Martin book of Game of Thrones, I think, in some cases. Don't get attached to some of the characters because you'll find they may not live very long. But it's really good. The only thing that really disappointed me was that they didn't maintain the same narrator. Now, in the first 4 books, they had a chap called Robert Dagas narrated them, and he did a brilliant job. And of course, I love the Irish brogue that is in there. Dare I call it brogue? Normally they say Scottish brogue. I don't know. What do we actually call an Irish accent? But anyway, the more I listen to it, and particularly if I have a tipple, I tend to find that my Irish accent may sometimes reappear. But then again, so does my rather posh English accent sometimes if I get sloshed enough. It's the problem of living down here in Australia. One tends to forget where we come from, and we lose all civilised language. But some people say I still have the capacity to swallow a dictionary and pass large words that will upset a lot of people. But look, Skullduggery Pleasant series is really good, very dark as it continues to progress along. Certainly well and truly worth listening to, well and truly worth reading as well. So Derek Landy, excellent, excellent. Now, a really, really old author, Michael Moorcock. I stumbled across the fact that a audio series or audio book that covers quite a few. It covers Elric of Melniboné, the Fortress of the Pearl, Sailor of the Seas of Fate, and Weird of the White Wolf. So it's about over 16 hours worth of listening, and it covers from I think more or less from the first, obviously from Elric of Melniboné, and covers his early years before he starts his obviously from just before the fall of Melniboné itself. So it covers Ercune pushing him off the battle barge, and and that. So I quite like it. I'm only listening into it in little snips and snaps because my memory starts to really, like I've read these books back in the 70s, so and I've not really read them since, even though they're sitting in pride of place in my collection. And honestly, the books are from the 70s, so they're quite dated and well thumbed, because I really did read them a lot back then, because hey, we didn't have a lot of science fiction. But he was certainly one of my favorite authors, and of course once I start to listen, my memory clicks in and I go, oh, I remember what's happening now, and go, oh, I'll stop listening. So it's one of those ones that I come back to backwards. Yes, I'm always backwards, but yeah. Next one, which I may have mentioned before, I honestly can't remember, because I've got a Goodreads account, so consequently I'm always updating my Goodreads. I also update Audible and Kindle with my comments, so I sometimes can't remember whether or not I've actually said anything or mentioned what I've done. But Jodie Lynn Nye has a series called View from the Imperium, and we have a character there called Thomas Canago. I had to remember who it was for a minute, but his character is delightful. He's vain. He's me. He really is. Oh, there's 3 books, and in the first one he just learns that he's a typical noble. He's bored. He doesn't know what he's doing, and then he finds out that I can actually do something. I can make a difference. I can do something for the Imperium. I'm no longer, I don't have to be a wastrel. I don't have to be, just a drain on the public purse. I can actually do something to keep the Imperium running, and that. And he's got a delightful, he's not a sidekick. It's a bit like a Wooster and Jeeves type affair, where he's not a manservant, but his companion Parsons is a spy, is an exceptionally good spy, and yeah, so he uses Thomas as a screen to get about to do all his work. But of course Thomas always gets his finger in and seems to somehow save the day. And it is a really, really good series of books. And the narrator in this one is a chap called Ramon de Ocampo. Now, I hope I haven't butchered that, but he does a marvellous job at narrating this series, and his capacity to do all the different voices was really, really good. Now, the other thing I did like about this series is the fact that it's so different, in the fact that, the Imperium has all these, yes, there's a lot of humans in there, but there's also a lot of aliens. And the aliens are all part of the whole makeup of the world. And the interesting thing here is that nobody knows where Earth is. Earth has been lost. Yes. So in the second book, Fortunes of the Imperium, Thomas, because he's got the attention span of a gnat sometimes, he's taken up fortune telling, and so that's the whole premise of the book. In the second one, is he uses fortune telling as his sort of, that's his what is it? It's his mania for that book, and he uses that to sort of solve what's happening. And in the third book, which is called Rhythm of the Imperium, it's dance. So he does impromptu dances, and that's how he sort of, solves an issue with dealing with some of the aliens, is his dance. And again, brilliantly written, and I just really, really liked it. And I will finish off that the last books that I have found is by an author called H.D.A. Roberts. And the series is called The Magician's Brother. Now, I think there's 7 novels out so far. I've only got the first 2. Think of Harry Potter with an incredibly dark overture. And, we're not starting off with little Harry Potter in the beginning. This is an adult, twin brother or twin brothers. And the brother has hidden the fact that, he's been telling people, look, I don't have magic. Because his magic is shadow magic, which apparently is very frowned upon. Nobody likes shadow magic users or wizards, and of course his brother's a light wizard, so you got light and shadow, and it's a really, really well written series of books. So I do recommend it. I thoroughly enjoyed the first one. I think about 2/3 of the way through the second one. I have not seen. Well, I've got, I think, 3, 4, and 5 on Audible. As yes, there's audio. They've got them slotted as empty slots for audios. But I think I'm going to have to go buy the books and read the books, because I don't think I can wait long enough for the audios to come out. But the problem though is that the audios just bring these books to life, and the character of Matthew Graves, is so nice. He's in the first book he get his one of his main adult friends is a succubus who runs the Purple Pussycat Club. Yes, I think you can find out where that sort of place is. Yeah, so look, they are the books that I have become enamored with and have thoroughly enjoyed. Look, honestly, it's getting very, very hard for me to find books that I find witty and engaging, because honestly, anybody can write a dull and boring fantasy book, if you like to call it that, or science fiction, but to write it with wit, charm and humour is not as hard. Is hard. Trying to find them that meet my level of Wodehouse or dare I say Robert Aspirin or those sort of or even Terry Pratchett level. It's very they're few and far between. There's not that many of them that can pull it off well. So anyway, Pippin has wandered off to because I have to shut the door to my thing, because my wife's watching some dreadful bloody television program that she screams at the television every 5 minutes, abusing the she watches some dreadful thing, I think called The Project or something, in the evening, and I'd invest in one of those. We used to have, back in the 70s, they used to sell these foam bricks that people used to be able to hurl at the television when you got angry with whatever was on. Well, back in the 70s, the televisions were literally solid bricks, so obviously throwing a foam brick at these solid bricks didn't cause too much. But if you threw a foam brick at a television now, I'm afraid my television would fall over. So, but anyway, look, I digress. Look, thank you very much for listening to my waffle. I'm off for an early night. As you can probably tell, it's a little dark. It's been raining. Oh God, it's been raining. Magpies. Oh, everything. It's been a really first week of school holidays. So one more week. So, but yes, don't have school age kids anymore. Mine have all flown the nest, like the magpies across the street. So anyway, take care. Until next time. Signing off, the Honourable John.